4%. That 50% portion will increase, what you pay, but the amount that the employee pays is going to be zero, and the 50% of the increase is covered by Panther. So really, that's all there is to it, and Brandon and team can kind of fill in all the details associated with that.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Larry. Yes, and I will add a little bit to that. All you said was true and transpired, and unfortunately, this was a tough one for us, as well as Panther. And I'll go through a little bit of the market update here in a second. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll begin the presentation. All right, so we are here at open enrollment for 2024. You probably have recognized us by now. I am Brandon White, and this is Mandy Furmanek. We're known as Team Brandy. It's the easiest way to remember us. Between the two of us, we have like 47 years of experience. We started when we were 10. So, but we've been through a lot. This year was probably one of the most difficult years, I would say, in the last 20 years of renewals, and especially with Panther. But I will start with something different this year. We're not looking for a theme of 2024. I think that's played its course. And so in this presentation, there will be a secret question that's kind of hidden. And the first person who can answer the question in the Zoom chat will get a $100 Amazon card emailed to them. So that is going to require a little bit of attention and looking for this secret question. It will be coming up in the next 30 or 40 minutes, so look for that.
Will they need to answer the question correctly in the chat, Brandon, or just answer the question?
They will need to answer correctly.
Okay.
Not only that, it's going to be according to my knowledge.
Oh, okay.
I know we're going to have somebody that's going to debate the answer, but I've fact-checked it a couple of times to make sure I am correct. All right, so a quick agenda. The timeline here, as I talked about, it's open enrollment. We'll tell you the dates here in a second. I do just want to continue on this market update. So as Larry was indicating, this was a difficult renewal. We got a very substantial increase from United Healthcare. I will tell you that it was partly because of where the carriers are at in the market. They are still seeing high claims, catastrophic claims. And then also with Panther, we are seeing high utilization. This was one of the highest utilized years we have seen in a while. And so those two things together caused for a big increase. And I will tell you, Mandy and I advised for benefit changes. In fact, we encouraged a larger deductible, a narrow network to help curb costs. But it was decided not to, in the end, to keep the same benefits as the plans are and to keep 100% paid for employee. This is definitely unique in today's market. I have not seen many keep same benefits and same costs with a substantial renewal. So kudos to Panther leadership in their decision to do this. We will review in, briefly the medical, just because everything's staying the same. We'd rather spend time on the resources and tools for you to navigate through healthcare. So we'll go through medical, dental, vision, life, disability, and then the flexible spending account, both for those that are not on the HSA and for the limited FSA for those that are on the HSA, and then the dependent care account. And then the employee navigator system, hopefully you're familiar with this and how to enroll in the benefits. I also just like to point out, on this slide, you can see here the spectrum of benefits that are offered to you. This is a complete package, which is really nice. Everything from medical down to life and disability, and also pre-tax opportunities. Definitely does fill the spectrum of benefits. Your open enrollment begins today, and it will be ending December 15th. So you have a little more than 2 weeks to get everything finalized to pick between the two plans. And then also, if you have any changes with dependents, this is the time to do that. All employees, yes, you must log into Employee Navigator. Hopefully by now, you're used to this, you know how to do it. Mandy is going to go through a couple slides on how to do Employee Navigator. You'll be receiving one of these as well. This is our employee handout that has a snapshot of the costs that are pertaining to you as an employee, and then also for your dependents. And as you can see here, it's got the two plans that you can choose from. We have the HSA, the deductible, and I said benefits were staying the same, which technically they are, but the IRS requires in the HSA that the deductible has a minimum. And so that did have to go up $200 on the individual and $400 for family. That is to make it a qualified HSA plan. They require this. And so that was the one slight change. But as you see there, this is 100% paid for you as the employee if you choose this plan. And then you have the option to go into a traditional PPO plan. That's a $2,000 deductible for individual and $4,000 for family. This is also 100% paid for you. This is maybe a good point too in your decision process. Do I stay with the HSA? Do I move to the traditional plan? This is kind of always the dilemma. Which one do we do? Well, based on experience, if you know you have costs coming up this next year, and they're going to include some higher costs, definitely the HSA, because the out-of-pocket is lower than the PPO. And if you're going to hit the out-of-pocket, hopefully by now, you're covered 100% after that point. So if I'm a family and I've got costs coming up, I'm picking the HSA because then I still get the pre-tax advantages. If I'm in the medium where I may have some costs, but I don't think I'm going to hit my out-of-pocket, I may hit the deductible, I'm probably leaning towards that traditional $2,000 plan. And as a reminder, if you do have any questions, feel free to use the chat to ask those questions. As well as the cost here for dental, 100% paid for employee, the vision plan, 100% paid. You also have a life benefit that's paid on your behalf of $50,000. And then one of the most important benefits today is long-term disability, which your greatest asset is your ability to work. And once that's taken away, we need to have some protection. And that's why Panther is offering the long-term disability product to help with if anything comes up. Now, short-term disability is covered by the state, so you should be taken care of in that aspect. So you'll get this one pager that you can reference on your costs and your benefits highlighted. So I'll briefly just go through the two plans. Again, the deductible is $3,200 for the individual, $6,400 for family. And the nicest thing about this plan is that is also the out-of-pocket. So once you've hit the deductible, you've hit the out-of-pocket, and after that point, you're covered 100%. This is a really nice plan, one of the best HSA plans that we've seen. As a reminder, preventive care is covered in full on both plans. I'll go into detail a little bit more here on the preventive. For primary care in the HSA plan, just remember it's subject to deductible first. IRS requires in the HSA everything subject to deductible, including prescriptions. So this is where if I'm on the HSA, I'm trying to be a smart consumer. I'm maybe starting to look at the costs that are pertained to providers. Not all providers are the same. You're going to end up paying probably more at Providence than you would at Legacy. Peace Health probably would fall near Legacy, maybe a little bit more, especially when it comes to like X-ray lab imaging. Those are things that I would really look at first to see what's the most affordable for you, especially when you're paying everything up front. So if I'm going to my provider and he says, I want you to do a CAT scan, and he says, well, you can just go down the hallway here at Providence, you're going to pay a lot to go into that facility there. And you're not required to use their facility for that exam. A better route would be to go through Quest or LabCorp. Those are going to cost about a third of what they would with the bigger provider systems like Providence and Peace Health or Legacy. So I encourage you to be a smart consumer and start researching there what's more affordable for you. And it also helps the company too in the utilization costs as well. The PPO, just as a reminder there, you don't have to pay everything up to the deductible to get benefit coverage. You have co-pays. As a reminder, it's $2,000 individual deductible, $4,000 for family. If you have to go to the hospital on this plan, you do have to pay the deductible first, and then you get co-insurance. Co-insurance is going to be 80% that United will pay, 20% you'll be responsible for. Then once you've hit that out-of-pocket max, after you paid your portion of the co-insurance, if it hits the 5,000 for the individual or 10,000 for family, then you're covered in full 100% on all benefits, including prescriptions. As a reminder on this plan too, you do have co-pays for prescriptions that you don't have to pay the deductible for. So this would be the plan for you. Again, if maybe you're in the middle there, you've got some prescription costs that you'd rather pay co-pays, then this is the plan.
One reminder that I would just like to say is if you're trying to examine what plan works for you, the HSA plan is an in-network plan only. UHC has a very large network. However, it's something to be mindful of when you're trying to assess what plan would be best for you. So wanted to remind you that.
Thank you, Mandy. That actually was very helpful to know. So, all right, so that's the medical benefits. We're going to move now to the mail order, which is a good resource for you, especially if you have a maintenance drug that you're taking. As a reminder, you can get up to 3 months supply, and it will cost a little less than retail. It's not a huge amount of savings, but it is convenient and a little bit of savings there. And they're pretty easy to fill out. You can bring it to your physician for them to sign, or you can even have it where it's sent to them or her directly. I do like to just remind you on the plug of GoodRx. This is a good thing outside of insurance that we find very helpful to employees, especially if you're on the HSA plan. As you can see there, you're paying the deductible on all tiers. If you've got a drug there that's pretty high cost, if you use the GoodRx app, it will bring up the lowest option for you in a certain mile radius, and it'll tell you exactly where to go. Most of the time, you're going to find like a Safeway, a Walmart will probably be the most affordable, not Walgreens, Rite Aid. I'm not telling you not to go to those places, but I will tell you that they have costs, middle level costs there that we don't see with the Walmart or Safeway. So GoodRx, a good option. I do need to let you know though, it does not go towards your deductible. if you use GoodRx, because it's a discount card that will come up on the app that the pharmacist will ring that will not bill the insurance carrier. So if you're wanting to hit your deductible and out of pocket, you won't want to use GoodRx. But if you are just, have one or two prescriptions, then this would be a good way to go. Preventive care, strongly encourage everyone to get this done. It's covered in full. This helps prevent catastrophic claims. So what we have found in the last 5 years, especially with COVID, what was the consequences of us not being able to go in to our physicians for preventive care? It led to other conditions. And so that's why we're seeing a huge spike of catastrophic claims, is because we weren't able to get our routine preventive care done. These are triggers that will help avoid conditions and also high costs. So please get in, see your physician. This includes quite a bit, actually. Your physicals, your immunizations, mammograms, cancer screenings, well child exams, also colonoscopies are included. Congratulations if you're over the age 45. You're now able to get one of these. These are a lot of fun, and you're going to enjoy it. I will tell you, on preventive exams, if you go in, make sure you're not getting anything else checked. Don't ask for a refill. Don't ask for them to look at the mole on your back. That all will change the code. Instead of preventive, it'll now be diagnostic, and you'll find out you'll get a bill. So, and providers, they know this, and I'm not saying that they're there to try to change the code, but if you're asking for a prescription refill, they're obligated to change it and make it a diagnostic. And so you're going to get a bill. So make sure you tell your provider, I'm coming in just for preventive, nothing else. Just a reminder, if you're wanting to know about the HSA, you haven't been on this plan yet, what is the benefit of an HSA? These are the fastest growing plan out there. More and more each year, employees are gravitating to HSAs. It is the only retirement benefit package left. And so a lot of people that are getting close to that retirement age are wanting to have a health savings account. I will say, though, even for the younger workforce, they are gravitating to this as well, because they like the idea is that you get a medical plan, you get a bank account, and you save on taxes. And so these three advantages help you long term. And we'll talk about some of the advantages here. But first, the eligibility of an HSA, we just like to remind people who is eligible. And it's important that you listen to this, because this will catch up later. If you've been contributing to an HSA and you're not qualified, your accountant's going to tell you you have to pay a penalty and taxes on this. And this is happening more and more every year, where people are getting to the point where they're finding out they weren't eligible. Number one, you have to be enrolled on Panther's HSA plan. Okay, it can't be your spouse's plan and you contribute to an account. You cannot have dual coverage. Really, dual coverage doesn't do anything much anymore. And so if you only can be on this HSA plan with Panther. 3, you cannot be a dependent on another person's tax return. This one comes up a lot now with the younger workforce. If you're under the age of 26 and you're on your parents' plan, you do not get to qualify for the HSA. And then the last one that's coming up more and more every year as we get more people retiring, if you enroll in Medicare, you can no longer be contributing to the HSA. You can still be on the plan as the primary coverage, Medicare as secondary, but you cannot contribute to the HSA account. Now, I will say that if you're getting close to this age, and you get the notification from the government that you're now becoming eligible for Medicare, you do not have to take Medicare. You can decline and continue to contribute to your HSA. But the minute that you are on the Medicare Part A, you have to cease contributions to the HSA, or you will be taxed and pay the penalty. So hopefully, I've scared you enough now that if you're getting close to Medicare, you will reach out and make sure, one, either you're not contributing or you're declining Medicare. Mandy, I'll pause there. Do we have any questions that we need to answer?
We do.
Okay.
There was a prescription question and it says, do prescription costs count towards deductible? It's a little tricky because yes, if you're on the HSA plan, the cost you're paying for prescriptions will go towards that deductible. But if you're on the other PPO plan, those co-pays that you're paying, those will add up to the out-of-pocket max, different than a deductible. So I don't know if I've confused you more, but hopefully that makes sense.
Made sense to me, but I've been doing this a while. Okay, so health savings account, the IRS has set the limits for 2024. They are going up, which is nice. If you're under the age of 55, they're up to $4,150 for individual, $8,300 for family. If you're over 55, you get to contribute an extra $1,000 pre-tax. A question that comes up too, you know, this is your time to change. So if you're moving out of the PPO plan into the HSA, your contributions will begin in January. But let's say you're on another plan right now and you're not on Panther. And then in July of next year, you have a qualifying event is what we call. Let's say you're on your spouse's plan and they lose their coverage. You are then eligible to come on to this plan. And if you choose the HSA, the good news is that you can come on to the HSA mid-year and you can contribute up to the full amount. So you can do the whole calendar amount of $4,150, even though you're going to be on it for only 6 months. The only time you can't do this is, let's say, if your spouse's plan was an HSA and they lost coverage and then you became eligible for Panthers, you can't do the full amount anymore. You would have to deduct the amount that you contributed on your spouse's plan. That comes up a little bit. Just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Okay, I think there's another question. It's saying 4150 or 5150 for individual. And so the difference there is 4150 is if you're an individual under the age of 55. And then if you're over age 55, then you could do the 5150.
Sounds good. Is there any other questions?
I don't see any.
Okay. All right, just here now some examples of eligible expenses for the HSA. Again, this is a nice account where you can set aside money to use for things that aren't just necessarily under medical. You can use them for other things. Acupuncture, chiropractic, massage would be included in that. Co-insurance amounts that aren't paid by the plan. Dental and orthodontia.
Ding, 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 ding. We have somebody who might be spying the secret question.
Oh, is it up? Oh, there it is. All right. Somebody answered the question?
Somebody has answered the question. It's William, and they are
What's
saying,
the question, Mandy?
well, the question says, what year did HSA plans become effective in the US? And William has stated 2004.
That is absolutely correct. So congrats to William. Send me in the chat your email and I will send you the gift card. That was fast. So President Bush passed it in 2003. That made it effective January 1st of 2004 that we could have health savings accounts. So there you go.
There's a little bit of shade being thrown around, which I do enjoy.
Oh, is there
Somebody's,
controversy?
well, no, they agree. They just are kind of calling him out for using Google. And I enjoy the banter. That's all. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm realistic. I understand that people are gonna, but the fact that he looked at his phone that quickly is pretty impressive. Well, Mandy, I'm done with my fun and games. It's your turn, and kick it off.
Okay, let the fun and games continue. I just want to remind you guys about some of the benefits and resources that you have with UHC. I know you guys have been here for a minute, so I think you know some of this, but as a reminder, you can access virtual care through myuhc.com. So hopefully you've all set up that MyUHC account and you can easily access the virtual care 24/7. You could do that through a virtual chat, but you could also just speak to a doctor by phone if that's easier for you. You can use it for minor things, but they also can prescribe over the virtual visit as well. And I know, as you mentioned, when we went through COVID, it was hard to get into doctors, and I think some of us kind of got used to the fact that we could do a virtual visit. And there's many times where that's perfect. So just want to remind you that is still an option. Typically, it's a $0 copay. Unless you're going to go see a specialist or something else, then through virtual, then there is a higher copay on that. As a reminder, My Healthiest You is also through United Healthcare. You can seek out virtual providers through there. But if you just want to do it through myuhc.com, you are welcome to do so, and that is available to you. If you go to the next slide, this is a reminder that UHC has an employee assistance program for you, and it is confidential. And so I always like to encourage people, maybe there's some stress going on, anxiety, financial, legal resources are available through an EAP. Lots of really good things here that you could address. You can have 3 free counseling sessions per incident per year. And again, just as a reminder, it's completely confidential and it's not going to be shared with your broker, your employer, anybody, but just another good resource. And you can access that 24/7, and there's a number there. Again, if you need more details on the EAP, you can see that through your MyUHC app as well. Okay, so the next one is provider search. Again, I know you guys aren't new to United Healthcare, but I just want to let you know that you can go to myuhc.com and you can look for providers. As we already pointed out, the HSA plan is an in-network only plan. So you would only use in-network providers on that HSA plan, and there are lots of them with United Healthcare. But that's the best way to find out if your provider is in network, is going there. But you also, if you don't want to look it up through an internet search, you could do you can call the number on the back of your ID card. So again, very easy to access the provider search, but just want to remind you, if you're on that HSA plan, use those in-network providers only.
Yeah, and I would just say here, Mandy, very easy, but at the same time, I would double confirm this. You know, there are times where the carrier makes mistakes on providers. And as we know by experience here, that you would want to confirm a couple of times, even though they confirmed every time, just make sure that they're in the network.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because I know a lot of times people think if they could call the doctor office and the doctor office will know. I never encourage that. I always say go straight to the carrier. And like Brandon's saying, if they're telling you they're in network, they're recording the calls, or they're emailing through a chat with you. So there should be some evidence that they've told you it's an in-network provider as well. Okay. You can,
Oh,
oh,
where are we at?
could you not go backwards? Just forward. Okay. Thank you. So this is just, something if you're brand new to UHC and, you want to get familiar, like we just talked about, you should explore the network, look at the directory, make sure that you download the United Healthcare app, because that'll give you your ID plan, ID card information and plan information that's specific to you. Again, I know you guys have probably done that before. And then, if you need to make an appointment ahead of time, you can do that. Because again, these plans that we're talking about today, those are effective January 1st, but you are continuing to finish out the year with these plans as well. Okay. So I've talked about myuhc.com. It's a great resource. You can find care, but one of the things that Brandon was talking about earlier in the presentation, I don't know if you guys were asleep during that part, but I just want to remind you that you can get estimate for costs for care. So like he was talking about with the labs and x-rays, and sometimes it's more expensive if you use a hospital rather than, an outside lab. You can do all of that through UHC app. So it's not like you have to do tons and tons of research just to see where it would be cheaper. You can do it right through the app. So I want to encourage you to do that. You can view your benefit summaries there at MyUHC. You can look at your claim details. You can check your plan balances if you want to see how much of your deductible you've hit for the year. All that will be at your fingertips at myuhc.com. Okay. Wow. I'm just trekking along. Do we have any questions, Brandon, in the chat?
Mandy, we do not have any since yeah, so you've been doing a better job than me.
No, I feel like I see some. And I think it's about ambulance. Oh, you already answered it?
No, it was an HSA question that I'm clarifying.
Okay.
So
Okay, I'll move on. How about that?
Yes.
Next, I'm gonna cover your dental benefits. Just as a reminder, you're gonna stay with MetLife. Those are not going to be changing. You have 1,500 annual maximum per person on this plan. So this is a really nice plan. You do have a $50 deductible that only applies to the basic and major services. So it's 100% for any preventive services, 100% covered there, 80% after the deductible for basic services. And then for major, those are the big things that you need to do, like a crown, something like that. That's 50% coverage after deductible. And then you also have orthodontia, which is 50%. There's also a way to find in-network providers with MetLife. I always encourage people to check that out because your benefit goes a lot further if you use preferred providers. However, you have the option to go outside if you want to with your dental plan. Just for an example, if you want to use an in-network provider with MetLife and you have preventive services done, it will be covered at 100% because they have contracts with MetLife in place. But if you do want to have preventive services with an out-of-network dentist, you may get a balanced bill. And I just want to let you know, you're going to be looking at it saying, hey, it's 100% covered for preventive. Well, you might have seen a dentist who is out of network and their charge is a little bit higher than the negotiated charge with MetLife. So maybe you get a balance bill of $35, $45, something like that. But it's just something to be aware of. If you are somebody that wants a little bit more bang for your buck, you can use the in-network providers with MetLife. Okay. I'm going to go to vision benefit with MetLife. That's not changing either. You guys still have the $5 copay once every 12 months. You can have your eye exam. Your frames, it's $150 allowance. It's every 12 months. For lenses, it's a $10 copay. And then for contacts, you can have the $150 allowance, and that's in lieu of the frames. It's one or the other. So just as a reminder, you can go to metlife.com/insurance/vision-insurance. And if you go there, you can look to see, to review your coverage, to manage your claims, to find a vision provider. Just as a reminder, MetLife uses the VSP network, but they also have additional MetLife vision providers. So it's a pretty big network that you should be able to utilize nicely. Okay, Life AD&D. This is an awesome thing that Panther provides for you as an employee. You have $50,000 of life insurance and $50,000 of a accidental death and dismemberment benefit. Just so you know that this does reduce, the benefit does reduce once you hit age 65 and also 70, there's another reduction. So just kind of want to put that out there. It's part of the MetLife plan. It's not something Panther opts to do. It's something that just happens with MetLife and their plan that's in place. But this is a great benefit to have in place, and that is still going forward with MetLife. Long-term disability, as Brandon mentioned, it's a great benefit, and this is protection for your income. And so if anything is to happen to you and you are not able to return to work, you will get 60% of your monthly pre-disability earnings. So again, your employer pays for this plan, and it is in place. And after 90 days, if something has happened to you and you can no longer work, you will have a benefit for that in place. And like Brandon mentioned, you have the state plan for the short term, but this is really when people start to experience financial difficulties and when they can't work for longer than 90 days. So this is in place with MetLife still going forward. Okay, just as a reminder, MetLife also has an employee assistance program. If you go to the next slide, Brandon, there's a few more things on there. So again, it's an EAP that's for all those things that we talked about, just maybe work issues, building relationships, trying to deal with managers and coworkers. Maybe you need some family advice, you're going through divorce, something like that. You can use this EAP as well. And you can call the number, you can speak to somebody, counselor, or schedule an appointment, and it's 24/7, 365 days a year. And if you want to access it online, it's metlifeeap.lifeworks.com. And then for login information, it's MetLife EAP, and the password is EAP if you want to look at all the resources that you have there or want to schedule an appointment. And so just as a reminder, you've got 5 consultations on this EAP, and it's per issue and it's per calendar year. So again, really great resources for you guys, both with UHC's EAP and then also with MetLife. Okay, so just as a reminder for 2024, the spending account limits are changing. As you're walking through Employee Navigator, you'll be able to select and elect whatever you want for this coming year. For the flexible spending account, you have an annual maximum of $3,200 and then a carryover of $640. So those are the 2024 limits. You will not use this flexible spending account if you have the HSA plan. We do, however, have something called a limited purpose flexible spending account. And so you can use this alongside your HSA plan, and it's limited to dental and vision expenses. So if you want to put $3,200 or less, doesn't have to be the full amount. As a reminder, that is available for you. And there is a $640 carryover as well on this plan. And then for the dependent care accounts, that is an IRS maximum of $5,000 annually. And that is if you have a dependent that is in a licensed facility for daycare, you can use this account for tax-free benefits. You guys are with Task with these benefits, and that's not changing, but these are the new, what's the word, limits for 2024.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so like Brandon mentioned before, this is something that is going to be a requirement. You do need to log into Employee Navigator. Even if you're sitting here through this presentation and saying, I'm doing everything the exact same, you still have to log in. You still have to elect and select everything you want. The good news is it already knows what you're enrolled in currently. So you don't, if you can't remember what plan you're on, or if you didn't remember how you were enrolled, that's going to show to you as you're selecting for this coming 2024 year. So as a reminder, an email is going to be going out. We are sending it out at 11 a.m. this morning. It's going to come from Employee Navigator. It doesn't come from Panther Systems. It doesn't come from us. It comes directly from Employee Navigator. And there you'll click on the link there, and it'll take you to the page where you can log in and select your benefits. As a reminder, as you're selecting the benefits, you'll hit save and continue at the end of each screen so that it saves it. It'll have you confirm your selections at the end. It'll have you do an electronic signature. If you get halfway through this and you don't know the end of what you want to do because maybe you need to talk to somebody at home, that'll save and you can re-log in and finish it. And just so you know, we're wanting everybody to select either enroll or waive, and we want everybody to do that by September 15th. So that way we can be on track for letting the carrier know if there's any changes and making sure we have everything wrapped up on our end. Oh, wow. I can't believe it's already over.
You said September 15th. You mean December?
Yeah, I want you to do it December 15th. Yes, not September. That would be bad.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Mandy. I believe we are done with the questions in the chat, unless anybody has any last second questions. That is a wrap for 2024.
That was fun, Brandon. Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take
Good,
care.
thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Thanks,
Very
everybody.
nice. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Team Brandy, for the presentation. We appreciate you guys.
You bet. Our pleasure.
Thank you.